Hello, everybody. This is for my Patreons only at this moment. It's a Q&A. So, hello, everybody. A lot of you on YouTube will watch it afterwards, but if you're just watching on YouTube later, then obviously when you will see it after I've completed it. Sorry, my cat is running up and down the trees. This is little Pixel. Come on. It's my little English farm cat, little English farm tabby cat. She'll be wandering in and out regularly during the thing. The competition is, you name how many times she comes through the door, and you can win a cat. Right. Purpose of this live is for, as I mentioned, Patreons, because when I normally do a live, I can't tell the difference between whether it's a question that has come from a Patreon or a question that's come from the public. So, but now you don't have to worry. So you can ask a question on the YouTube page or ask a question on the Patreon page. It doesn't matter. But I will get to your questions. And my son-in-law Cameron is just out of shot there, and he's controlling the computer, and he's going to be throwing questions at me. So hopefully I can answer them. Purpose of this live right now. It is Sunday morning, 8 o'clock, and I'm going on a trip next week. The trip basically is because I am still, the Kimberley, I didn't get my remote fix from the Kimberley because there was too much traffic on the Kimberley. There were too many people, and I didn't get that sense of just this remoteness. So what I'm going to be doing is taking the Troopy. So I thought that it would actually be, the Kimberley would be my final expedition with this particular vehicle. Turns out not. I've decided to go and do this, go and get my fix, and shoot a whole lot of reviews and bits and pieces that I wanted to do on Kimberley, but just couldn't. It was just too difficult. So I'm going to start packing my truck, and I'm going to go through what I put in it, where I put it, why I put it there, and sometimes why I carry individual items. And I'm expecting it to be about 2 hours long. So hopefully you'll learn something, and hopefully I'll remember something that I might have otherwise forgotten. Right, so how many people we have watching the show? We have 12. Good, that's excellent. Okay, welcome everybody. First things first. Do I have an order in which I pack my truck? Kind of. You see, every time I put something in, decide where to put it in the truck, I will always think, what are the chances of needing that? So for example, this here, okay, that is actually a pump-up mattress. I do not use it on the trip, but for emergencies. So I'm going to put that in there, and then I carry with it a very small, light pup tent. This is my backup shelter. Now imagine if I got the vehicle, I rolled the vehicle. The vehicle's lying on its side. Where am I going to sleep? Or in a ditch, or I get bogged and it's really at a precarious angle and I can't get it out, and I have to. You see, the thing is that, imagine getting bogged and getting into trouble, and then the vehicle is at a precarious angle and you can't sleep in it, but now you're like so anxious because you've got nowhere to sleep, and the anxiousness just compounds the problem. So I figure, well, put something small, light, that I can sort out very quickly and just make myself some shelter, protect myself from wild animals, not so much but yeah, insects and snakes, certainly snakes in Australia, and be comfortable, be relatively comfortable while I sort out the issue. I've only ever done that once, where we actually got the vehicle so bogged that we just said, no, just leave it. Set up camp, make a meal, sleep. And if you remember, it was 1993. I had my Defender, my 110 Land Rover, 110 V8, and my mate's brown Range Rover. He got horribly bogged, and so bad, in fact, we realized that it would be better to wait until the morning. That's what we did. I can't think of another time that I've had to, but then we just took stuff out of the vehicle. Anyway, so that's kind of my mentality when it comes to that. So the next thing I'm going to put in the car are tools. So I've got tire tools, and I have somewhere here it is. So I should actually, you know what I'm going to do? So I'm just going to move this because you might be interested in what I've got. As tools that I use all of the time on a trip, and I have these easily accessible. If I get a puncture, I don't want it to be a total drama to get the new wheel on the back of the vehicle. So I have a set of spanners, and I also have a set of, I'm looking for it, it's a small tool set, and you see it there, Cameron. See, I know I'm out of shot. I'm in the back. I have my major tool set, which I'm going to need now, and there's a small tool set as well somewhere. I saw it last night. So that's my main tool roll. That's got my big stuff, the big spanners, full socket set. That's for major heart surgery. For minor car cuts and bruises, I use this. So now the sirens you can probably hear. We live very close to a hospital. And it's Sunday morning, so all the Aussies are coming back from their parties. Okay, so what I have in here is a number of different wheel nuts. The brackets are a different thread to the car. So I have to make sure that when I take a wheel off, I can fit it on there. So I've got spare wheels for fitting both mags. This is a steel rim, all the others are mags. So I've got steel rim wheel nuts for both thread sizes, 3 different sockets, and a basic tool set. So spanners, starting from 8 to probably 15 is a basic. I've got the rest in there, basic, and that is actually kept underneath, just behind the passenger seat. Okay, that there, and it goes with a small black tool thing, this here, and that basically is a small socket set with screwdrivers in the socket set. So that is my quick fix toolkit, and it goes underneath the passenger seat. At the moment I will just put it on the driver's seat, so I know to put it, so I don't have to walk outside of the car right now. And so these goes in the same place with it behind the driver's seat. Cameron, are there any questions?
Yes, we do have one from
Yeah.
Don Booker.
Hello, Don.
If you have any load lists or pack up lists, are you just doing this from experience?
It's funny. It's so funny you should ask that question. I'm doing it from experience. Should I say anything?
Might as well. It will happen no matter what.
I'm in the middle of developing an app, a packing app with lists, with customizable lists. So there'll be a default lists, and then you'll be able to add your own stuff and prioritize your own stuff. I'm actually working on it now, and it's my first sojourn into apps. I've never done it before. It's going to be amazing. It's going to be amazing. But that's what I'm doing. But now, do I have a proper list? Actually, no. And I actually keep all my stuff in the trip carrier almost all of the time. 90% of the stuff is in there, so I just need to get in and go. The trouble is, okay, story time. When I had the first puncture on the Kimberley, I got out of the vehicle and I managed to get it onto a flat place before the tyre was absolutely flat, so in a good position to repair it. And I pulled out my jack, and I'm going to put this in the car now. It's a 6-ton bottle jack, okay? And this won't fit underneath the car with a totally flat tyre. So what you do in that situation is you just pump up the tyre a little bit and just get this underneath. You only have to pump it up this much. But I have a little backup, which is this guy, which is a bit of a pain to use, but it's much lower. So I have 2 of these in my vehicle. I opened the jack case, which is in the middle between the seats, and only this was there. And because only that was there, I had a problem, because the tyre was so badly cut, I couldn't pump it up. I didn't try because it wouldn't go up. It might have, but it was a big cut. So in other words, what I would have done in that situation if Chris hadn't been there with his other jack, is I would have actually plugged it as much as I possibly could. It would not have worked, but it would have slowed the flow of air, pump it up and get the red jack underneath. I could have done that. But I thought to myself at the time to empty the troop carrier. So that's what I did. When I got home, I took absolutely every last item out of the car. Because when taking it out, I could see, oh, there are a few things that, namely that jack, that weren't in the car. And it could have been a major problem, and it wasn't, but it could have been, so I'm going to quickly put these jacks in the back of the car now. It wasn't a major problem, but imagine it could have been. So that's, I leave most things, and I don't really need to go to lists really, really frequently. I'm quite, I've done it so many times, and also the design of the vehicle is that I can look in at any time and see things missing, but I don't leave things behind often. It's very rare for me to do that. Very, very rare for me to do that. All right, I'll put that in later. And then this, so this little guy is for locking and unlocking the front automatic locking hubs. It has the same size as the wheel nuts, but I believe these automatic lockers are fine for general use, but when I get into a rough track, I should lock them with this. It's a stronger connection when you do it manually as opposed to letting the automatic system take over. But I have this, again, in a place where I can find it very, very easily behind the passenger seat. So I'm going to just put that there, and I won't forget it. Right.
Stuart Palmer asks if the app is going to be Apple or Android, or both.
Both. There's no point in not doing it both. But hey, guys, I'm making this, and I'm making this public, and maybe I shouldn't have. I don't know, maybe I shouldn't have. You'll find out when it could take as much as a year to get this thing out. Okay, the idea came to me a week and a half ago, and I have the production in motion. It's a long road because I've never done that kind of thing before. So, and we've come up with some concepts which really I think are going to. I'm very excited about it. Anyway, I will be taking on my trip some. I use night core. You are familiar with the night cores that I use. They recently sent me this little guy, which I rather like. I get actually pestered. It's the only. I mean, I get probably once a week torch manufacturers, flashlight manufacturers asking me if I would like to have some of their kit to review, and generally I ignore it. But this one I didn't. These guys are called Born to Exceed. No, they're called armytech.com. And I've got a torch, which I rather like the look of, that I'll be doing a review. It's a big, powerful torch, but I really like the. I'm extremely fussy when it comes to head torches. This has a lot of potential. So I put my head torches on my headrests, around my headrests, because I always know where to find them. I've done that for years, and so that's what I'm going to do. Somebody mentioned to me the other day, oh, you shouldn't do that because you're stretching the band. Well, if the band is such a bad quality and it stretches it, then I've learned something, haven't I? Because it shouldn't. And no, it shouldn't. Why should it stretch it? It hasn't with a night core. I mean, that's my oldest torch, and that band's a bit tired, I guess. Anyway, so I'll be doing a little review on those three. Those go up front. What else? And I'm going to do a comparison between these two torches. Where is that? These two, that's the night core called the Sun, which is a very, very potent thing. I'll be doing a comparison between those two. Where am I going to put them? Haven't decided yet. So I'm going to put them in here. Put them up here. And then I can decide where to put those things. That goes forward. So I can't bring the camera in here, unfortunately, folks, but I'm going to just talk you through it. In the front to the left here, I've got a jerry can of 20 litres of extra water. I'm carrying a total of 95 litres of water. And this space here is where I put things like tools, recovery equipment, and I strap it down with the can, because the idea is that I need to know where it is, perhaps in a hurry, because if you're stuck and you bog down, it can be stressful. You want to get stuff out, but also I would never ever keep recovery equipment on the outside of the vehicle. Like, for example, if I had a pickup and I had a canopy and I had I've seen them. There's my recovery gear. Well, if you're the kind that does, a lot of off-roading and that's your main function, and recovery is commonplace, then yeah, have it there. But for touring, I don't see the point of having recovery that easy to access if you're touring, because how often are you going to need it? Maybe never on a trip, but you obviously want it, and you want it in a place where you know how to get it and it's reasonably easy to get to. So that's what I'll do right up front, behind the passenger seat in that. And the way I develop these vehicles, I've got these drawers. I don't believe in the concept of having everything in its place. And I've seen designs like that. I remember last year, 2018, the Africa trip, I was given Tech Pro Safaris have some beauties. Their Land Cruisers are gorgeous. But they had they sent me their Premier model. And I didn't like it. And I didn't like it because everything had its place, which meant it wasn't versatile at all. So suddenly, particularly as somebody renting the vehicle, I have a bag or I have a thing, and there's nowhere to put it. This is my stuff. I'm the renter. This is my stuff. And there's nowhere to put my stuff. There was nowhere to put our big bags that we took off the plane. Nowhere to put it. So the designers didn't actually go through. It's all very well doing a designing and developing a vehicle that is specific to oneself. We have our own gear, we have our own chairs, we have our own thing. Even then, I don't think it's a great idea to have a place for everything. In other words, the chairs are this big, and so therefore you make the place where they go this big, and nothing else can go in that space. I don't agree with that. I think, so that was the frustration with that vehicle. I was a renter with my stuff, but even so, it was too organized. And they had the kitchen, which was not bad, but then the working space, you had a whole lot of stuff down, so you couldn't use it as a working space because you keep on having to get stuff out of the work. So the working space was useless. It was designed as working space, but it was useless because you had so much kitchen stuff underneath it. So what do you put underneath it? They'd put all the kitchen stuff underneath this platform, this working space platform. They'd put kitchen stuff under there because they wanted to keep the kitchen all together, which is a good idea. Trouble is, the working space, it was all under the working space, and you couldn't use the working space because it was, So what they should do is put, say, recovery gear underneath the kitchen working space. Because when are you cooking and recovering at the same time? Never. That's the way I kind of see it.
I've got a few questions.
Okay. Hit me up with a question. I'm just opening this to get a bit of light in here. Question?
Do you refill things like cooking fuel when you return from a trip or before you leave?
So the question again, sorry, repeat that for me.
Do you refill the things?
I don't refill. I don't use I use these. It's a very good question, by the way. Who was that?
Jill Watts.
Jill. It's a very good question. I, for years, used those big things. And I realized when these things came along that, yeah, they're a little bit more expensive. Yes, I get that. But I don't have to strap any of these down. I can put these in any drawer, anywhere. And go and buy another one. That's about there and about there. See? So I carry spares in the car as I need. So for the Kimberley, cooked on my stove almost every night, I think we started a new one and it's got this much left. This I just use for boiling water with my little water boiler, which is, so again, efficiency of gas use. Those big gas tanks can only really fire up larger cookers. You know, you have the single cooker on the top, and then you have the double cookers and things like that you connect. So, but this is the same with these guys. It's no different. So now I've got a, well, what about something like, do you know the jet boil? Or the, this is my one. It's called the MSR. I've had it on some of my videos. It's the MSR reactor, and that goes on there, and then that clips under there. That is so efficient that will last 2 weeks. One of those. It's so efficient. It uses so little gas. Why take a great big gas cooker? So that's kind of my way of feeling. I just find that a very large gas bottle that I have to refill, it's lost all its appeal for me, so I no longer use them. So I have a little space on that side of the vehicle which I can't get to now. I don't have a particularly spacious garage. So I'm going to put this on the table back here so I don't forget it. These go in a little, I've got a little kitchen on the other side. You've probably seen it in some of my videos. I've got the Maxtrax table, and then I open it, the little kitchen, and that kitchen contains everything I need to make a cup of tea or coffee. And also it contains these things. Something that I need every single day. Almost without fail, I will need to pump up my tires. So in that little closet space, kitchen space, at the back, the opening gull wing doors, I have that, and everything else is bolted and connected into the vehicle. So to me, having air easily accessible is very, very nice. So that's what I do. I'm going to put that there so I don't forget it. Some more tools that I use.
Matt Hosey asks, what brand is the dash organizer that you have in the Troopy?
Is that Matt? Matt, it's made by a South African company called Caprivi. Quick Pitch brought in a batch of them. I don't think they have any left. And I'm not crazy about it. It actually looks a little better than it really is. I mean, I like it. I don't know if they've got any more. I have a feeling they've stopped importing them. Yeah, it looks cleverer than it is. All I use it for is, I've got something to show you. This might actually answer your question, which I actually think is a better option. So see if I can find something here, and I can. Okay. Yes, here you go. So now this is I don't want that. This is a dash. This is a communal garden dash cover. I had it on my Troopy before this Caprivi one. Okay. And I will actually probably use it again, because this is a bit stiff, so you can never get it to look nice. It's always kind of sticking up a bit. I use it for sunglasses. I use it for, I don't have it here, it's still in the inside with my camera equipment, my tracking device for the satellite tracking, for my live tracking on my website, and nothing else. because I can't, because it's not, things move around a little bit. And so I think a better option is this. These you can get on eBay for $5. It's a stretchy bag, netting. You can see that. It's got Velcro. So now, that on the dashboard, so that's on my dashboard. You get some of these. These are about $50, okay? And now you can do that. Okay. Perfect place for sunglasses and things. Perfect place for a whole lot of stuff. And it doesn't stick up a bit. So I will probably use that option on my next build instead of that. I hope that answers your question. Anything else, Cam? Stuart.
What is your technique for cleaning and sterilizing your water containers?
Hello, Stuart. I don't know what they call it in this country. Steri-nappy. It's no. It's called Milton's. It's a very, very mild chlorine. But I'll tell you something. The water that comes out of the tap has got so many preservatives in it. If your water is in your tank and your tank is black, in other words, no light can get in there, then the buildup of algae is incredibly slow, and the buildup of bacteria likewise. So I have, for example, I filled up this tank before Kimberley, and when I got back it was probably 1/3 full after Kimberley, and I just topped it up again. I didn't worry, I just topped it up again. Stainless steel is really good. I don't really have to worry. If I'm going to store, I've done some tests with water, stored it in black water carriers in a garage where the ambient temperatures are quite high, and after 2 years the water was absolutely fine. There was nothing wrong with that water at all. There are enough chemicals in tap water in countries like Australia, UK. I did my tests when I was living in South Africa, and so I would say it's not a big deal. But my plastic cans, when I empty them and I leave the cap ajar, as it were. So, and then they let them evaporate and let them dry out completely. But of course the tank inside the vehicle, I can't do that, so I keep it with water in it. It's always got water in it. And then I will occasionally just flush. After this trip I'll just flush it completely, and then I will put water in it, new fresh water in it. There are enough chemicals in there to keep everything clean. That's how I look at it anyway. Anything else?
Kyle asks, is the Malamu tent
Yes.
Paul Marsh you still holding up? Any thoughts?
Yes, it is. The Malamu tent is still alive and kicking. I've had to lock it in the cupboard so it can't get out. And I hear it at night, banging away, trying to get out of the cupboard, but it's locked in there, so it's fine. Actually, the Malamu is really good. I mean, it's held out well. Really, really well. I'm actually amazed on how, I can't remember a tent that's had been used by so many different people on so many trips. Jeremy used it on this last trip to Kimberley. He used it. It's perfect. It's perfect. Argumentative, but perfect. Anybody else?
Alex says hello, and are you going to take 2 spare wheels? If not, was the rear wheel carrier a waste of money and weight?
Ah, okay. Yes, I'm going to take 2 wheels. Guess why? Because on the Kimberley, as you probably know, I had 2 flats. And that's the first time I've had 2 flats. I reckon it might be, I'm trying to remember when I last had 2 flats, but it would have been was it in my Defender? Or was it in a Prado? It might have been a Prado on a trip. I think it was a Prado in Zambia, and we had only carried 1 spare, and we had it repaired. And then I had another flat, I seem to remember. But that would have been 1999, thereabouts, 2000, thereabouts. So, I had Continentals on my G-Wagon, and I went to the Kokofeld. I had 2 flats, and the last one demolished the tyre. They weren't particularly good tyres, but I was sponsored by them, so I used them. So suddenly now, I'm thinking, well, maybe I should carry. No, the thing is that with carrying 1, Our first puncture destroyed that tyre. It was unlucky. They're first-class tyres. It was brand new tyre. Both of the tyres that I lost that had punctures on Kimberley were both brand new. The front ones weren't brand new. I can get free tyres from BF Goodrich, but I didn't ask them for new tyres. I had two absolutely fresh 235 85s. So I just chucked them on the back, put the best of the others on the two, and put the spares on. I would have been in trouble if I had lost that first tyre and then... So if I was travelling on my own, I would have had to go into a town and go and try and find a tyre. What a schlep. Particularly with this tyre size, which is not very common. So on the trip I'm about to do, I'm doing a test on a new set of tyres with a different size, more common size. I'll go into that later. I won't go into it now. No, it wasn't a waste of money at all. I think 2 tyres is necessary. I just think 2 tyres is necessary for peace of mind, if nothing else. So from 20 years, never having, for 12 years, having 2 punctures in 12 years, thereabouts, suddenly 2 on one trip. So I was honestly thinking about just ditching the, I can take the wheel carriers. See, in this vehicle, the double wheel carrier is, it's such a nice double wheel carrier. It is so much better than anything on the market. It's well designed. Apart from the guys at GoBX, your wheel bracket, the actual thing with the bolts, sucks. Come on, guys, get it right. But the rest of it, streets ahead of anything else. It is so far ahead because I can, and I'm giving them a plug here, one hand. With the others, the levers down here, Gwyn really struggles with them because of the angle of pulling and angle of pushing. Here, it's up here, down, that's, the way the wheel is, I'm going on and on. Such a nice product. Just get the thing, guys, get that sorted. It's easy solution. The weight. It's heavy and you don't really want weight on the back. It's not a great place to put weight. But it looks much better than the standard, although the standard has a cutout here which makes a very nice step. But the standard, I wouldn't be able to put this on it. So, pros and cons, I guess.
Joel asked regarding the spares, do you have concerns about the weight being so far back?
Yeah, there's nothing I can do about it. So it's the trouble is with these big carriers. You've got a big heavy bumper with a wheel right at the back, and it's the last place you want it. So another thing that I'm actually trying on this trip is a different set of rear springs. I'm trying out a parabolic spring at the back. I want to learn about parabolics. I know about them. I know in theory. I read about them. These are a 400 kilo constant spring set. I'm putting on a parabolic 500 kilo spring. 600 is too much. I had 600s early on in the build and it was horrible. The ride was okay if the vehicle was like at max weight, but around town empty or semi-empty, it was awful. So I had to make a choice. And so I'm trying this out. Okay, because I agree with you, the weight is an issue at the back here. So what do you do with it? So on the new build, which is going to be a 79 series, I'm going to extend the chassis by 500 millimeters. And I've got an idea for that vehicle, but I'm not putting the spares on the back. I'm not putting the spares in the back. I'm putting them as far forward as possible. Because even more so than the troop carrier, the 79 dual cab has a weight issue because of its location of its rear axle. And so that's why the extension is needed. But still, even with that extension, I have to think weight, which one does anyway. But in that vehicle, so I've got some ideas. And so that's something that's going to be happening later this year. I'm actually really excited about it. I think it's going to be absolutely fantastic. Anything else?
People are just saying hello from America, Australia.
Hello, everybody. Austria. Hello, Austria. Okay, well, I'll carry on packing and I'll just talk while I'm packing. Feel free to ask questions. In here, I got a hose pipe and I have a bag, which I still have to find. It's in one of those containers, with pipe fittings. Okay, that goes in here and it allows me, and I've got a pipe fitting zip bag in there that allows me to fit that pipe onto virtually any tap. Anywhere. I can make a plan. It's got a whole lot of little connections and I can make a plan. I've yet to be stumped by anything where I've actually not been able to pipe water. On this trip, I won't need to replenish water on this trip. It's extremely unlikely because I'm going to be away for 6 nights. The whole idea of the trip is actually to find what can I do 6 days from Perth. A proper outback bush wilderness experience, 1 week in and out of Perth. That's the concept of this trip. There, I've got a number of these guys. This is for my shower. If I need to work on the vehicle, climb under the vehicle. If for showering, I put it under the shower. I can actually put 4 of them and step from the shower, 1, 2, 3, 4, and get in the vehicle without getting my feet particularly muddy. So I've got those, they weigh absolutely nothing. And I have to wrestle now with this. There's a lot of dust in here. Oof. Okay, I'm not going to waste your time. Do that. I'll do that later. Those zips are very, very... See, whatever lubrication I put on there, they generally jam up. I need to find some kind of dry lubrication. This is a product made by Camp Cover. Guys at Camp Cover, if you're watching, I absolutely love it. It is the best in the world by a long way. I have seen so many of these things. This is fantastic. But cool it on the Velcro. Too much Velcro. You're making it awkward. You're not making it easier, you're making it awkward. Too much Velcro. I'm nitpicking. I am nitpicking. It's fantastic. Right.
Didn't you do a tray back a couple of years ago and didn't like it?
Yes. It wasn't that I didn't like it, that when I did the tray back, who's that? Robert. When I did the tray, I realized that the weight of the camper that I was going to put on the back of it was very high. And then I started watching videos, doing a bit of research, and I realized that the 79 dual cab has a problem. And it wasn't that I didn't like the vehicle, that I was scared of what I was building wasn't going to work, that it plain was going to handle badly. Now, I recently watched a Ronnie Dahl video where he talks about the lightest truck in the fleet, and he stripped his down. Stripped his down because he found the handling was horrible because he was heavy at the back, the standard wheelbase 79. I made the right call. I'm convinced I made the right call. The new one is being extended by half a meter, 500 millimeters. Otherwise, I wouldn't do it, because the camper that I'm fitting on the back is very similar to that previous camper, but it's not the same. It's much lighter. It's almost 100 kilos lighter. Okay, so, and that's the estimate at this time, because we're busy developing it, but we're not in the thick of developing it. That'll probably start in September, October, the thick of developing that. It's based on that previous design, which I think was fantastic. I still do. It's beyond brilliant. But if I extend and I move, I'm literally moving the wheels this much further back, lightening the camper conversion, moving it as far forward as possible, getting rid of the roll bar. It's extra this much. That makes a difference, particularly with something that heavy, moving it forward. Spare wheels on the roof rack above the cab. It's space that I don't need. I need it for firewood, or maybe max trucks. I'll put the max trucks up there with the spare wheels right up front. And there are various other things that I want to do, is to get the weight forward, So you make a point that I tried it and failed. I didn't fail because I I nipped it in the bud before I realized that it wasn't going to work. In that form, it wouldn't have worked. I know that for a fact. So the quest now is, can I do something and make it better than the troop carrier? So the longer wheelbase will mean it's a little bit more comfortable. This is really good. With these springs and these shocks, this is not an uncomfortable vehicle. It's really nice. So I'm giving it another try. Anything else? Okay, so I'm going to start putting in, okay, these tools, that's my recovery. That is a snatch strap, which also goes right up front. I carry in my truck, as part of my tools, a bag of straps, different types of straps and ratchets. They are just so useful for not just strapping things down, but maybe pulling things up, or, you know, it's almost like an emergency spares kit. And I put that in my, so I've got an area in the back of the car here that is very good for packing larger stuff. It's a whole area here, and I'm lucky enough that when I actually, so that goes down there, so when I actually am using the vehicle, very little stuff is actually lying around. Most of it is packed away, but also reasonably easy to get to. I can get to, from outside the vehicle, I can get to 75% of what's in the back of this vehicle without climbing inside. To me, the troop carrier's biggest weakness is access. The gull wings and the drawer system solves the problem, because my fridge, can you see me here? My fridge is here, so I can access and fill the fridge, which I've actually already done. And there's my shower, so I can access it very easily from outside. But if I'm inside, I can also get to it. So I'm also going to take these tools, which is I'm doing a thing on solar power, solar panels. Where do you put a solar panel in a vehicle for maximum efficiency? And that's my, I've got one here, one over there. I've got a solar blanket, I've got that, and I've got one on the roof, and I'm going to be doing some experiments, and because I've come up with some conclusions about that, which I think are of interest, but I'm going to present that video on my thing. This is my beautiful knife, my Jacklaw. Those of you who know my channel well will know Sandy Jack makes these beautiful, beautiful knives in England. Absolutely beautiful. I only use it for my Australian trips, because I'm always terrified that it'll be stolen on airplanes, because obviously I can't use it as check-in. Tire deflator and gauge, pressure gauge, and these little guys, you are familiar with those little guys. So those actually go in the back of the car. These go in the front of the car.
Kaplan asks, how difficult will it be to engineer a lengthened chassis in Australia?
Lengthened chassis in Australia, probably, well, it is extremely easy. There are probably, give or take, 10 companies in Australia doing extended chassis for Hiluxes and Land Cruisers. Very easy. And the company that I will be working with has done many of them. So this is not difficult. And the only real, because it's a tray back, they don't cut the body, so you can get 200 series Land Cruisers and things like that extended. I did look at the 200 series, and I like the idea, but two reasons why I decided not to go for it. I know that the weight on the back of the vehicle is going to be quite high, and there wasn't enough stuff out there on the internet for me to be able to say, how well do you think a 200 series Land Cruiser extended chassis, it's a 650 millimeter extension, will handle that weight? And because nobody's put a camper on the back of one. I've seen boxes. I don't want a box. I just don't want a box on the back of my vehicle. I want, because you've got that much now, that extra payload and that much space and that much versatility staring you in the face, why would you want to just put a box? because there's now space for doing something else. You could put a camper on there. Trouble is, most campers are far too big and far too heavy. But the one I'm working with isn't. But still, there was a big unknown. I don't know how the 200 would work. But on the 79, and the 200 was expensive. It was probably difference in price. I would have had to fork out at least another 20,000, maybe 25,000 on a 200 conversion. Was it really worth it? For something that was higher risk? I also don't think the 200 in that configuration, extended configuration, because you can't drop the suspension by much. Off-road, there would be a decrease in performance. But for my use, don't think that's a big issue. But the 79 is going to be better than the 200 off-road, generally speaking. So I decided we'll go for the 79. And I'd made that decision about a month ago, actually. And I'm very confident that that is going to work for me. Okay, my little lanterns go up there. I'm not going to put everything in its little place inside the vehicle, otherwise you guys are going to get bored out of your tree. What else? Who else? Have you got other people?
Yep, Murph says hello, and for dry lubricant, look into McLube Sail Cot.
Okay, dry lubricant.
Yeah, so there.
MacLube Salicoat. Okay, thanks.
And will Kate be joining you on your future trips?
No, actually, on my future things.
Future trips, yeah.
On future trips. You know, I don't know. She's married. She's married now to this guy. You can put your head around the corner and say, hello. They've got a really nice little sailing channel. They are dreaming about, and I'm no doubt that they will achieve this, getting a sailboat and sailing even around the world. So they want the sailing life as opposed to the suburban life, and I applaud it. 100% applaud it, because, hey, you only live once, do it properly. This is not a practice run. So, do I need this for my trip? I do. I need some pots. So I use basically, these are MSR pots. Pretty run-of-the-mill pots. This now goes like that. And this now goes like that. Not bad, hey? Not bad little pots. So, backup cooker. Just a little backup cooker that also fits into the same gas container as the one for my water boiler. So I have that as a backup. I've got boxes and boxes and boxes of camping equipment, and I am I'm not a hoarder. I get rid of a lot of equipment often. But at the same time, every now and again, I go through these boxes and, what have I got here? For example, here I've got something that I forgot that it's one of those guys. Actually, I had two of these. This is the second one. I had two of those on the roof. If you look at the roof of the troop carrier inside, you can't see it. Okay, on the bit that moves up, there's one of these. There were two. This is the other one. I took this one off because I found that I wasn't using the second one. I just wasn't using it. So I took it off. And every now and again, I go through these boxes and see, oh, what have I got? And it's like Christmas shopping. Oh, I forgot about that. That'll be nice. I'll use that on my next trip. And every time I do a trip like this, I go through them and quickly go through them and say, do I need this? Do I need that? No, this is thermos. I might take a thermos. If it's cold, I'll make a nice thing of coffee in the morning. And oh yes, fly nets. You see, just as well I'm doing this, because fly nets would be. Actually, this is the best fly net. That one I'll take.
Any chance of a 6x6?
No.
To fix the weight?
No. The 6x6 dream was, it started in Dubai when I drove the 6x6. And it was amazing to have, I mean, that would solve the that would completely solve the payload problem of the dual. But let me put it to you this way. Something in my back of my head saying, you need a 6x6. I don't need a 6x6. I'd like a 6x6, but do I need a 6x6? But here's the thing. I could, if my 500 millimeter chassis extension on the 79 is still not working, I'll turn it into a 6x6. So right now, no plans for a 6x6, but I still like the idea of one.
Australian Grumpy asks, how about a lightweight boxes instead of a drawer shelf system? Well, yeah, how about lightweight boxes on drawers on shelf system rather than what you have now?
Okay, just checking my battery on the mic. Looking good. What boxes? I'm a fussy bugger. You know these. I don't even have one here. They call them ammo boxes. They're black. They're branded by Frontrunner or even Camp Cover brands them. Lots of different companies brand these boxes, and they have a lid with little spring clips that break all the time. The spring clips, and when you put the lid on, the spring clips fold inside, so you've got to fart around trying to get your hands in all 4 places at once before closing them. They waste a huge amount of space because they've got this air gap around them, so they're very inefficient. And when they stack on top of each other, if you're in the back of a station wagon and you've got these boxes stacked on top of each other and you want the top one, you cannot get it out because it links, they grab each other. So when you pull the top one, the whole thing tilts. And if you're in the back, in a cramped, if you're in any location that is cramped, you've actually got to get in and lift it up. If it's heavy, you've got to lift it up only this much, but I hate them. They're just terrible. And the thing is that the reason why they're so popular, and they're very popular, I mean, I'm amazed they're even now in America, and they are atrocious. So if you say to me lightweight boxes and you're talking about those boxes, I'd rather have plastic bags. However, I came up with this idea. It is exactly the same size. Let me see that there in the frame. No, never mind, it's fine, I'm sure. Okay, so now this is exactly the same size external measurements as those ammo boxes. The reason why I did it exactly this size is that people's packing systems are used to that size. And actually, as a size, very nice. It's a good size. I give it that. It's pretty ideal. Yeah, not too big, not too small, not too heavy, easy to pick up. Yeah, it's a good size. So I developed this. Now, the bad news is that this particular box, and I called it the autograph box. The trouble is with this box that I had it made in South Africa for a while, and then I kind of had a bit of a falling out with the guys that made it because they didn't live up to an agreement that I had thought we had made. And so I kind of lost my... I knew it was a great idea. I knew it was more expensive than it's double the price. It's double the price of one of those other boxes. But it's a fantastic box. And we filled it up and we threw it off the back of a pickup at 60 kilometers an hour. I jumped on them and tried to destroy them. And they are lockable, they are dust resistant, they are stackable, but they're stackable in only one direction. So if you've got boxes stacked on top of each other, they slide this way, but they don't slide sideways and they don't slide back, but they do slide forward. So if you've got a stack of them 20 high, you can just pull the top ones up, no problem at all. So, and I'm trying to find somebody. So if you are a plastics manufacturer, I want to develop this box and sell it in Australia and the US. Really, I do. The trouble is with them, when shipping them around the world, it's very expensive to ship fresh air because you can't they're not stackable. That's the one problem with them. But that, for example, in the back of my troop carrier now, so I can actually fit it in that gap there, and I can fit it up front, and my center console is wide enough to fit it. So again, even my vehicle, I have adapted it for this size of box. I think that heavy drawers like this, they are very nice. I mean, there's no doubt about that. Are they necessary? No, they're really not necessary. And then troop carrier configuration, it's nice to have a place to sit and a place to work or do something if the weather's really lousy. I climb in here, as you know, and I can make a quick meal or something in the back here. And I want to change this material. I don't like the carpet on the top. I want to change that. So, yeah, weight is an issue, and this isn't. It's all aluminium, so it's not particularly heavy, but it does contribute to the weight. You know, it does. And most people that do these conversions on these troop carriers are getting GVM upgrades. I'm now building 3 troop carriers for clients along these lines this year. I've got a booking for 3. I've got space for 1 more this year. And
So Kaplan asked, what about modular toolboxes like those from Rigid or Milwaukee? They lock together, stack, have dust-free seals, and good latches made to be abused by tradesmen.
excuse me. I don't know the Milwaukee one. Milwaukee makes some beautiful tools. I would like my whole workshop just wall-to-wall Milwaukee. I don't know. I will go and look at it. You know, it would be a really, really good place to go and look. Tradesmen abuse stuff. You're absolutely right. Here's a little piece of equipment that I put in my vehicle, which is fascinating. It's very, you can't really see it. It's a pair of tweezers. Little Velcro on the back there. I put this up on my center console. It is the perfect set of splinter tweezers. I don't know why it isn't in my first aid kit, but it isn't. So there you go. Right, I am taking along with me on this trip some first aid kits, and I want to do a review on them. I'm going to film the first part on this trip, and the second part with a friend of mine who is a first responder, very experienced, a company called Survival Emergency Solutions. These are the most beautifully thought out first aid kits I've ever seen, far beyond anything I've ever seen. This is a snake bite and general first aid, and so I'm going to be doing a bit of a review on that in my own vehicle, obviously carrying a first aid kit. What I do is I've got a little sign here, so right up front I'm going to say to the guys at Survival Emergency Solutions, right up front, you need to supply with your first aid kits some stickers. They can look exactly like that. I want stickers because I would love to have put a sticker right here saying, because I've got a small thing here saying first aid under lid. I've got that there, but it's not very big and bold, is it? I have often on a trip actually had my first aid kit put somewhere, strapped somewhere where people could see it from outside the vehicle. So they see the bag, it's got a big, had a big first aid cross on it, could actually see it from outside the vehicle. So people in the convoy, other people can find it really quickly. So hiding it in the box down below is not ideal. So, but I couldn't find any stickers. Otherwise I would have put a sticker in there. So I'm going to start packing my kitchen drawer. Here's another thing I need to go, this needs to go underneath it's a grill net for grass. That goes underneath my passenger seat, and it's been underneath my passenger seat on every vehicle I've had for as long as I can remember. It's just a habit that I put it in there. So this is, okay, I've got jumper cables. Always carry jumper cables on a trip. Always, so that goes in there. Okay, so I've got you can see it's completely empty, and I'm now going to put my stuff in here bit by bit. This is for my trip. Carpet at the bottom, which I have velcroed in, so it can't slide. If the braking and accelerating of the vehicle can make it slide, and I put all my stuff in there, including pots. And bucket. Now I have a bucket. That's my bucket. It's one of those collapsible buckets, and they are, I think, very nice. A lot of this collapsible stuff that's very popular with caravanners. It's actually really good, really good. I don't particularly like the collapsible cookware, but things like this, fantastic, compact, light. Anybody else?
Hello from Philadelphia and Colorado.
Hello, Philadelphia and Colorado. How many people we got on now?
About 17 to 20.
Excellent, 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 excellent. Right, cutlery. This, to me, is to have a hang-up cutlery thing is so nice. Gee, it's nice. So one of the first things I do is when I get to camp is I do that. I've now got my cutlery. It's out of the way, and oh, here's a little tip. Here's a little tip. A little tip for you guys. A little safety tip. Sharp knife. You got the sharp knives? Take the tip off. Okay, you accidentally fall on that with no tip, it's going to do very little damage. With a tip, it could do some serious damage. So while that's still as useful as it ever could be, I take the tip off my big knives. Okay, just a little safety thing that I was taught by a safety guru. Actually, his name was John Rich. Some of you know him from my very old videos. He runs the Stony Ridge Off-Road Academy in Natal in South Africa. He taught me that. Right, fly net needs to go up here. Got to have a nice toaster. So nothing like a nice toasty on the fire. So that goes in there. What else we got here? So the toilet duties, I have gloves. These were given to me by my nephew. These are proper fireman's gloves, proper dinkum fireman's gloves. They're very, very nice. In here, I have my toilet duties place, and that contains a small shovel, and then I've got other stuff here, bits and pieces for lavatory duties. So let me put these here. Lavatory duties, easy to get to, easy to find, because, and it's typical of the way I think in my truck, is it's there, anybody can find it, anybody can see it, and it's the kind of thing you're going to need almost every day you go camping. You're going to need that. So, right, mug. I wish I remembered the chap who sent me this. It just came out of the blue in the post. Just arrived. This is my drinking water. It's a glass bottle. I like drinking out of glass as opposed to plastic. So when I'm on a trip, I refill my glass bottle. That's another jacking thing. So that goes behind there. That does. This is a recent addition. When I'm traveling with Paul Marsh, he is anal about keeping the windscreen clean. And he's absolutely right, but I'm actually the exact opposite of that. So I thought I have to mend my ways, so I bought one of these to clean my windscreen, to keep my windscreen clean. That needs to go in. This is a new little camera system that I am now using. Requires a very long pole. That is a 3-meter long pole, and I use that for for mounting cameras, and there's a space for it in there. I'll tighten that in a minute. So I now use this mug, and I use it. I like it. I actually like it. I really do like it. I'm very grateful for whoever sent it to me. This is a towel. It's like a beach towel. It's a throwaway, if it gets destroyed type towel, doesn't matter. All right, here's a little trick of mine. I like in the evening, I'm not a particularly big drinker. I'd love a nice beer in the evening. If I have 2 in one night, it's a lot for me. I'm not a big drinker, but I do like a nice sherry or something. So I put, and yes, it is crystal. You only live once. Do it properly. So I put my crystal in thermal socks. Keeps them warm. And okay, that there. Okay, so cleaning wipes, first aid, lighter. So this is all kitchen stuff. I don't need that. This is all kitchen stuff. Actually, that's nonsense. I don't even need this stuff. So what I do is I use small containers, but I don't put the lids on. I leave the lids off. And these are cheap things that come from Bunnings. And Bunnings is a big hardware store. Wonderful hardware store. It's like heaven. And you go there and get anything you need. Hardware, fixing the truck, all that kind of stuff, building stuff. And I buy it from there, and I fit it in here. So it's easy to find, easy to access. So that one there is my dishwashing wipes, dishwashing liquid. There's a lighter. There's fire lighters, garbage bags, and things like that fit in there. There goes the kitty cat. If I want to cook something on a fire, and this weighs nothing, but it's a windbreak for a fire. I got that in Dubai, actually. It's looking very empty. Just shows you how much useless nonsense I had in the back of the truck that I no longer need. Oh, here it is. Here's a whole lot of stuff. Mugs, washing up liquid. How are we doing there, Cam? So again, putting in stuff for that, so that goes near my shower, so that can be put somewhere else. Got a place for that. Insecticide, olive oil spray goes in there, and dishwashing liquid actually goes in like that. I wish I had a camera down here so you could have a look at. Actually, it's very boring. I'm glad I don't have a camera that points down. Actually. Ah, that's a brilliant question. Top 5 quirky items. Quirky items. What's quirky? That's quirky. Eh? That's quirky. I've got one here. I must find a proper place for that. Okay, torch goes in there. The only quirky item I can think of this very second is on my. Where are they? Here they are. It's called a Raptor. That can cut steel. Well, thin steel. It's an emergency tool that ambos use, and AMBOs is Australian for ambulance drivers and operators and first responders. Is that quirky enough? Not really. A bit quirky. So what I have here is camera equipment. Oh, I must take that out. My sat phone. Camera equipment. Knife sharpening thing. I sharpen knives all the time. Sometimes I was sitting around the campfire and I'll just be whittling a knife and just getting it deathly sharp. So I take that on a trip. This here is my camera. So because I'm filming all the time, I modify the back here for camera stuff. So I've got that, which has got my GoPro stuff in, spare batteries. I don't need that. I need 1 pack of those batteries. All my connections and like this, and then that sits on top of there and actually sits absolutely perfectly. Amazingly, again, got it from Bunnings, but I couldn't have designed it with a better fit if I had tried. So that's there. Not really that quirky though, is it? I'm trying to think. Anything quirky? That's going to go up front. That's another. This is a new torch that these guys sent me. I'm doing anything. It's Nightcore MT21C. What a wonderful piece of kit. Love it. Absolutely love it. Versatile. So that goes actually in my dash. That's another thing that goes in my dash thing. I need a torch, it's right there. So one at the back, one at the front. Quirky. Oh, quirky. You want quirky, eh? So I decided the other day, and this is actually brand new, I haven't used it yet, but I used to do this. I used to have one. If I'm doing a solo trip, and I cannot make a fire, an open flame, and if in Australia you've got to be very careful with open flames and things like this, but if you're cooking, it's safe enough to have something like this. So I've got a paraffin. So if there's no firewood or anything and I still want an open flame, all you have to do is light that, and it is not as good as a fire, but it's, yeah, quirky enough for you? I don't think I've got anything more quirky than that. Do I? I think that qualifies as quirky. Whew, just as well, because I can't think of anything else. So I will, and that goes in there at the back. And so does my.
Do you have any good luck charms you take with?
No. No, I don't. Do I take any good luck charms? Don't think so. No. Don't think so. What I do take, this is my lucky charm. This is my emergency bag. You've seen this on the, have a quick look at it. I haven't opened it. I'm just going to have a quick browse through just to make sure everything's in here, but pretty sure I haven't taken anything out of it. This is my emergency bag. This goes immediately behind the driver's seat. And in it, food, spare gas. There's a tiny little cooker, minute little cooker in there. There's some dried rice. And I have a water container as well. I have a tarpaulin. I have a book to keep me company. Check that out. Spitfire, the memoir, the biography of the Spitfire. I might just start reading that anyway. Actually, I've already read it twice. Still good stuff.
That's a quirky item. That's a quirky item.
Is that a quirky item? Oh, I need to go and get my other quirky item then. I actually want to start reading it again. Crowd the Kalahari, Mark and Dealey Owens. That book was my inspiration for doing what I'm doing. I've read it, 5 or so times. Okay, so now here, my sat phone goes in here. Okay, and it is charged. I charged it. So I don't leave it in here. I take it out, and it's the last thing I put in here. And so I know that in an emergency, I can pull that out of the back. All I've got to do is tilt my seat forward and pull it out the back, and I'll be okay. So that's a very important thing that I do every time I go on a trip, particularly if I'm going on a solo trip. And it fits perfectly behind my driver's seat. It takes up no space at all. That's my recovery gear. So that has a pull strap, shackles. I'm not a recovery guru. I have a basic setup: winch controller, gloves, shackles, and a pull strap. And then I have the snatch strap in the back there. And I do take a jack with me, so that needs to be, I'll pack that properly later when I get in the vehicle. I don't take a huge amount of accessories for recovery, but I don't want to be covered. And I do take a jack, so I take plastic bag. These things are invaluable. I only need one salt. I made my black pepper. I wonder where it is. Those bags go in there.
Don says your silver gripper tweezers are kind of quirky. Your silver tweezers.
Oh yes, they are. Yes, you're right. Yes, I suppose that's quirky. I guess. I hadn't really thought about it. I guess you're right. Insecticide gunk. Okay, so we've got some tropical strength, and this is tabard, stops insects. So that again goes in. Was it going to fit in there? No, this one goes in here. That one goes in there. That goes in there. Actually, that doesn't go in there because I can't get to the handle to open the door if I put too much in that middle pocket. So that's like that. My stove, I'm going to put my stove goes in here. So I'll just quickly rearrange my first aid kits. And put my stove in here. I use a partner steel stove. Many of you will know that. I cleaned it, so it's all nice and clean. And it comes with a gas pipe, which is over there, which I also put in the space in here, so they're both together. Food is in that yellow box. I've got all my dry food and tins in my yellow box. I will transfer them to those drawers there, and that's where my food is. My fridge is almost done. I've still got to get some breakfast cereal and a few other things, which I will go shopping tomorrow for, and top up the fuel tanks.
Carol asks if you've seen ITS Tactical Products. They make very pretty nice items, like battery holders and gear organizers. That
ITS? No,
ITS.
I haven't.
I'll get a picture.
I haven't. Don't think I've seen it. Brush. So now, that is my suspension adjuster, and that tool needs to go in my the tools that I use for doing a tire change. So I'm going to put that in there with that. I have a mallet for 10 pegs. Again, these go on the other side of the vehicle, in the space next to where I have my little T, where I have my airline, and those are for, if I have the awning out and it's a bit windy, I like to peg it down. This is a little bag. Again, these bags for gifts. Some more straps. Now, actually, I'm a bit overkill on the straps here. Actually, I'm going to need that for something inside the vehicle in a minute. So I'm not going to pack this yet. I'm going to leave it here because I'm going to need that for strapping down the water tank. Okay. So what are we looking at now? This is the ITS Tactical. Oh, right. Okay. That looks quite nice, doesn't it? does look nice. I'll have a closer look at that. It does look nice. So and it's all clean and complete. That's the pipe for my stove, which goes right next to the stove, right there. This also fits quite nicely in here. Okay, it's starting to fill up properly now. That's good. Starting to fill up properly. Yeah, water. I think I'll just let that evaporate clean. It's just a little bit of water in there, but it doesn't smell. Okay, what else? What else? Actually doing quite well this morning. How are we doing?
Doing good. 20 viewers, and they're all saying hello to Lexi. She's coming back.
Oh, she's come back. Pixel? Yeah, she's my little kitty cat. So, a few other things that I'm going to not actually pack into the vehicle at this very moment, but show you. Two things. The little stove, you know, this little stove. I've really gone to like the stove very, very much, because now, instead of frying up a pre-made meal, particularly when I'm traveling on my own, I make pre-made meals, and I get them from the local Aldi. They're a nice quality, and or sometimes Erin makes me a nice meal. That's my brush. It's in there. And heating them up is really nice, but it does use quite a bit of electrical current. I do have surplus electrical current in the system, so I can afford to do it. I did change the handle because the handle that was supplied with was too small. I couldn't grip it, so I did that. The other thing I want to show you is my toilet arrangements. So somebody actually asked me about this, and to me this is really the answer for lightweight toilet, a toilet solution. And we've got a few things in here that I need to take out. Excuse me, I'm not on camera, but I've got stuff here that I need to get to. I'll show you now what I'm doing. Okay, so
Australian Grumpy asked if you repaired the kangaroo damage.
Yes, actually, I have. You can't see it, Australian Grumpy. I can't show it to you because it's on the other side of the vehicle. But it was minor damage, and the wrap actually took quite a bit of the damage. There was a bit of an indentation in the panel. So what they did is they pulled out that indentation, re-wrapped that side of the car. They finished the wrapping yesterday, and tomorrow morning early I'm having the Max Trax table and the new wheel arch fitted. And in fact, here you can see the wheel arch. That's the broken wheel arch, and that's the replacement wheel arch. And that's being fixed tomorrow. There's the mud flap. So that's suntan lotion, and I put that in places where I can find it, and it will not be even slightly difficult to find because I have to protect my face. That's an emergency towel, a kind of travel towel that I use, and wet weather gear. Just a light thing, and that goes above my head in the console. These two items just get squeezed up there. They've been with me, those two items have been with me for almost as long as I can remember. They are probably 10, 15 years old. Okay, I was going to show you this, wasn't I? Toilet in a bag. This is made by a company called Clean Waste. It was introduced to me by the guys at Heist. They no longer sell it, but Clean Waste is available all over the place. So here, basically, if I try and show you what this is, that's a toilet. Okay, so as you can see, that's a toilet. Underneath it are the legs. Okay, and the legs come out. There are 3 legs. They come out. Okay, and you dig a hole, put this down, sit on it. For decades, I would squat. And you know what it's like when you're squatting? It's kind of it's trying to get to sand in your underwear and trying to, it's hassle, but you just do it. This means that I could even, I've not done it, but go and read a magazine while doing what comes naturally. And the secret to the success is this. Basically, that's a new box. I'll get my other box because I don't need a fresh box for this trip. Inside each of these is a bag. I don't know how many in each bag. 15. Okay, so basically, before you do your thing, you that weighs 1.5 kilos. You put the bag you just around and you clamp it closed. It's really easy. You take 1 measure of this powder and you put it in the bag. You do your business. No odor. No odor. Remarkable how it does it. I have no idea. No odor. And then all you do is you tie up the bag and put the bag in with the rest of the bag in the back. And then when you next throw your thing in the trash, it's taken away. Weighs nothing. No horrible chemicals. No horrible water to deal with. No. I'm not sure if that's been put away properly. It's just, I think, just fantastic. What a great invention that is, because it's so simple. And it's I don't need that. That's for flying. Okay. Righty, how are we doing here? My shower thing up there, that's that. I've still got stuff inside the house, clothes and shower and towels and things like that, which I'm not going to bother getting right now, because I'm sure that you'd be very bored with it. I'll just quickly check in here. I don't think there's anything in here I need. No pots, secondary pots, little gas lantern, don't need that. There's a little multi-tool thing that Jeremy was very interested in that. I actually did a video on it. He was really fascinated by it. It's a little multi-tool thing. It's quite fun, but I've never actually used it. I bought it because it looked fun, but I don't really need it.
Seamus says nifty toilet.
Nifty toilet. That's what I think too. I think nifty is the word. It's a very nifty toilet. And actually, it's a, to me, I think it's just brilliant. So do I need anything else in here? I don't think so. This was, no, I've seen that already. So now I've got most of the stuff in the truck. And now I need to actually just find this little place in the truck. And I'm just about done. This has been very easy. And the vehicle looks actually quite empty to what it normally looks. So I'm thinking, did I forget something? There's my chair. I actually want to get new chairs. These are really getting a bit old. My Max Tax go on the Max Tax table. And I do have my toiletries. So the idea, I think, again, with this toilet thing is, there it is there. Wet wipes, toilet paper, and that goes down here in that little space down there. Actually, I've got to find another place for the insecticide, because sometimes close up and you've got a few mosquitoes, and a few light sprays to get rid of the mosquitoes before going to bed, and often at night need that. So that has to be easy to access. Okay. I'm trying to think if there's anything else that I need to show you guys. How are we doing time-wise? Oh, about an hour and a half. Okay, any more questions? Because not really.
They're all just watching you.
They're just watching me. Are you guys just watching? Isn't this boring? Now I have no placement for this. I don't know where to put it. I know where to put it while driving, but even then it's not a great place for it. It goes on the toolbox behind the center fridge. But in my new build, I'm actually going to have a little dedicated place for it because I'm going to have space for it. So already wired up. I'll do that. I'm also doing a show on inverters, the size of inverters. A lot of people will put I'll give you a taste of it. A lot of people will put an inverter in their vehicle. Oh, I've got a 1,000-watt inverter. I've got a 1,500-watt inverter. Okay, why? What are you running? See, these days, if I'm running power tools, I'm buying battery-operated power tools. So all I need to do is charge them. What kind of inverter do I need to charge a power tool? 350 Zampel. See, every inverter, when you turn it on, before you've plugged anything into it, the moment you turn it on, it's actually doing the inverting of the current. Uses power. The bigger, the more power it uses. So bigger inverters are a waste. Also, I'm going to do things about some of the cheap inverters. Some of the stories I've got about cheap inverters are really, really cheap and cheerful inverters. There's nothing cheerful about cheap. It's like I'm going to get a cheap and cheerful parachute. That'll do. Oh, I nearly forgot this. Here's quirky for you. You want to know quirky? That's my kettle. Okay? It's the right color. Clean my kettle and I'll get, yeah, even inside. It's been around a long time and been on a lot of campfires. So that kettle, somehow water out of that kettle just tastes better. I don't know how, but it does. So that also goes with my stuff on the other side of the car in the area used for my cooking tea and stuff like that. So that needs to go there. Handy towels, that's my towel for general paper towel for kitchen use. New one. And it's just food now. Okay. I think I'm going to wrap it up. I think that's it. It's not very interesting. Is it interesting?
Clearly.
How many people think it's interesting?
There we go. Battery operated power tools. Expeditions only, not for 6-day trips.
Well, expedition only for?
So they're asking, do you take them on the 6-day trips or only expeditions?
I don't take them at all, actually. Power tools. I don't have any power. I use only hand tools. And mainly because of the 220 volts, the AC thing. Now, would I take? No. I don't think I'd take. Why would I need? No. Don't think I'd take it all. But I was just saying if you were going to, then you don't need power tools, you don't need AC anymore. You could just charge the batteries. With these new modern power tools, charge the batteries. And they're getting cheaper and better, power tools. So, anybody else? So on the trip, I'm going to be doing a thing on solar, location of solar, the first aid kits. Inverters, I'll probably do the inverter story when I'm doing my new build, because yeah, there's a lot of electrical stuff in the new build that is fresh. I don't think I would change the electrics in here, you know. The solar panel story will be a good story. I think it'll be an interesting story. Oh, I need my spade. So here's, oh, quirky. I think this is quirky. So I'm fussy when it comes to recovery gear in terms of spades. Spade, so I actually developed a product in South Africa. It was a spade. And I decided that there were no spades on the market that were any good. The ones available in South Africa were very limited, frustratingly so. You can get nice ones here in Oz, really nice ones of all shapes and sizes. So you guys have had it good for years. And we had nothing of value. Shovels with a flat end. So what I did is I took like a garden shovel. It had a square blade, and had them machine it down to a point, and had them shorten the shaft and refix the handle, and then I had them powder coated orange so that they wouldn't be lost when digging in the mud. And I remember this was probably, my guess, 2003-ish, 2004, 2005, somewhere around there. And I remember a big expo. I used to do two big expos a year. They were both in Johannesburg. I would load the car up, drive all the way up to Johannesburg, do the shows. And it was a ritual. And they were good fun. They were lucrative. They're good money, earned good money out of them. And I remember on one occasion, I'd had 100 of these shovels made. And there were 100 rands each, which in today's money is about 10 Australian dollars, $7.50 American, something like that. And which is very cheap, but that was then. Okay, so we had them on the stand. So people started coming in, and it looks like this. It looks like the spades are going well. There's two left. I better go to the car and get some. Look after the shop. I'll go and get. Oh, they're all gone. So then I'd go to the car. And then I would put all these, kind of one, and I'd have thick like this, and I'm walking, and I'm now trying to get from the car, a bit of a walk, through all of these crowds of people, and I'm trying to get to my stand, and what's that? And it's a spade. It's $100, $100. Put it in the pocket there. Take it, and he would take it, and then I would. So I would manage to carry about 10. I would arrive at the stand, and my assistant at the stand said, "You only brought 2?" No, I brought 10. I couldn't get them to the stand. We sold all of them by 1 o'clock on the first day. All 100 were gone. And I thought the price was too high, but I was obviously wrong. Then I actually had them made, and we sold a large number to a retailer in South Africa. I was also starting to get into the equipment business, developing products, kind of what I'm doing now, but in a different way, and developing products. And I had a puncture repair kit. I was the first person in South Africa to come up with a puncture repair kit with a temporary plug, which now is, of course, commonplace. I was the first person. I discovered the product, I was told about the product, researched the product, brought the product in, and we sold, and we had it in a tin. In fact, I've actually even got one of the tins here somewhere. So, knowing that packaging is, I don't see them anymore. Oh, okay, that's very interesting. I can't find it. Anyway, it was a tin. It was a tin. Okay, it was a tin like this. And did extremely well. Then somebody copied it. They copied the spade. And when they copied the spade, they got one of the design things wrong. And this is so common in this industry. Copycats. Every country has them. Small group that can't think of anything original themselves, so they just go and copy others. It's rife in this industry. And here was somebody who copied my spade. also made it orange. And I remember there was part of the design when I picked up his shovel and I thought, he has no idea why I did this. The copycat has no clue on why I did this. This is not nearly as good as mine. And we had made the blade actually about that big, and it had a point on it. And I'd made four, I designed four of them, and we went to John Rich's place and we got some vehicles hideously bogged, really badly bogged in mud, in loose clay mud, and also stony mud. So we would try it in a sand environment, loose sand environment, dry sand environment, cloy mud environment, clay mud environment. So we could try, and eventually, after the weekend of a lot of digging, we decided, yes, let's do a few things. Let's change the shape of the blade, and let's do a few other things. And that was what we sold. Really well-researched product. Destroyed by the copycats, because what they did is they had money, so they made 500 of them and sold them at $75. It was costing me $75 just to make the thing. Killed it. Took it off the market. And this was a gift to me by a lady called Charlotte Dutoy. She's no longer on this planet. She's on another one somewhere. She was one of South Africa's camping equipment gurus. She developed such lovely products. Man, she was smart. She had this also. It was, I think, from her that I got this concept that practical, simple, straightforward, keep it simple. You know, like in the whole ethos of when packing a vehicle, you have to keep versatility built in the vehicle. You can't have places exactly for this. It looks fantastic in the showroom. I see it with trailers a lot. In a showroom, this trailer looks amazing. Everything is beautiful. In the real life, real camping, gee, they are wanting. So I know, and I get very frustrated when I see products being copied. Yeah, there's some in this country that are also in this country, bad copycats. I'm not going to mention them, obviously, because of liability issues. I cannot do that. But it really, really frustrates me because it's just a lack of imagination. And cashing in on somebody else's brand, somebody else's brightness, somebody else's smartness, and just cashing in on it. It's stealing, it's stealing, it's stealing. It's plain, common garden stealing. There's no other way to disguise it. Right.
Robert says for a good toilet, look at Thunderbox. It's an Australian company.
Thunderbox. You know, Thunderbox. It's so typical. It's so typical of Australia. See that box, those boxes there? That's called whogivesacrap.com. It's Australian toilet paper, and I use it. Thunderbox is a fantastic name for a toilet. It really is good. So I use that toilet paper because it is absolutely, it has no bleach, it is just amazing. And if you make it wet, it dissolves. That's a seriously biodegradable product. And I use that for all my camping, and that's a good point actually. There's one roll in the car and I need to get a few more. So let me just put these in for my Thunderbox. Hold on a minute, that's not the right stuff. That's not the right bog roll. Okay, I'll get in.
Stuart says he liked your tip about taking the points off knives.
Okay.
Do you have any others?
Taking them off spoons? No, I don't. It's one of these gems, you know. I remember John Rich telling me about it. We were on a trip together. We went to the trip into the Richtersveld, which is far northern, very, very remote, beautiful spot in South Africa. It's the only spot in South Africa. I'm not talking about Africa. I'm talking about South Africa as a country. The only part of South Africa that I would wild camp. I wouldn't wild camp in the rest of the country. It's not safe. But in the far, far northern Cape, very remote, and we were there. We were camping, and we we were doing some stuff for a TV show, I seem to remember, and he's saying to me, look at that, because he noticed all my knives are sharp. He said, how about that? So, and I do it.
Josh said, it's been nice to watch you do it. Would you do another live of your camera equipment? See how you pack that.
Do you want to know how I pack my camera equipment, or do you want to know about what pieces of equipment do I use and why?
Probably both.
Packing's really boring. Okay, so when I'm on a trip on my own, I have a camera case strapped down, literally strapped down, to my passenger seat, so I can reach over and get a camera anytime I like it. If I'm traveling with somebody else in the car, I've converted this drawer here, this top drawer here, right at the back, is full of sponge. So it's full of bits of sponge. Okay, that's a camera case. That is a glorified camera case. So all my cameras go there, my big lenses. So I'll have something in the front which I will use for a quick blog, just quickly, just grab a shot. But my main lenses and main cameras are in there for when I'm setting up. Oh, this is very beautiful. I'm now set up. I now have time to set up, to get the beauty shots, to get all of that lovely B-roll and everything, and I've got time. I access it from there. It's easier when I'm traveling on my own because I can use that space on the passenger seat, which is actually very convenient. But I can't really show it to you now. But it's just a camera case. It's just basically it's a soft camera case that I just open the lid, just throw the lid open, the lid falls open, I can just grab, and I'll have a camera body in there. I'll have two different microphones, a lens, maybe two lenses. And all the other charging stuff is all at the back there. So at any time I want, I've got, for example, this here. That's my battery charging. It's cluttered now, obviously, because I haven't packed everything. That's my battery charger. So I will have a battery in that charger 24/24. So any time I can just, battery's getting low, clip, put it in, new one, new battery. And the battery, with the camera that I'm using right now to shoot this is my main camera. It's the Sony A7 III. I have two of them, so that's my master camera that I use for absolutely everything, and I've got various lenses. But I could. Are you really interested in details about the cameras that I use? If you are interested in that, I'll do something on that. Very, very pleased to do something like that. That'd be fun.
Kyle asks if there are any off-road lights you prefer to mount. What features do you look for?
Lights. I'm not an expert on lights. I just am not an expert on lights. On the new, I could have told you 15 years ago about HID and halogen and various different types of light systems, and I knew my game. With the advent of driving lights, light bars and everything with LED technology, it's overtaken me. I don't actually know. I am fitting to my clients' vehicles, the troop carriers that I'm building, I'm recommending Light Force. I will fit Light Force probably to my next vehicle. I've been sponsored by people who have offered me kit, and there's some nice kit out there. But if you want the best, you have to go like to Rigid or Light Force. They're the cream, and I think for autograph trucks they should have the best. The lights on this are great. They're good, but they're not great. So I've got a road vision at the top, which works. It's fine, does the job. So nothing wrong with it. It's absolutely fine. It's not expensive, but I have Rigid at the bottom, and I can see. Yeah, Rigid are really, really good, but they cost. So again, it's like anything, you get what you pay for. But I wish I could help you a bit more, but what I look for, something like a light, it's on the outside of the vehicle, takes a hammering, don't buy cheap.
Joel says he had to step out. Did he miss tables in the Kimberley table?
Who's that?
Joel.
And he's asking what question?
He wants to know. He wants to find out if you've done tables yet.
Have
what
I done
tables? Do you
tables?
Use?
Oh!
Do you use tables in the Kimberley show?
These tables?
Plastic ones, yeah.
I still use that old one that I bought, that I've had for 10 years. That one, I still use that. They're cheap, inexpensive plastic camping table. I don't like stainless steel tables. I don't like stainless steel. The glare is hideous. So a lot of companies, they offer, slide-in tables. I cannot stand stainless steel tables. They glare. It's really unpleasant, and the surface to work on, and it scratches, and I just don't like it. Might look that pretty. I just go for a cheap plastic table. And again, that one, I would like to have a table that could also go to this high, because when you're cooking, you don't actually want to preparing food on this table this high. It's too low. So the MaxTrax table on the other side of the vehicle is the perfect height. So if I'm preparing the food, I always use the MaxTrax table because it is the perfect height. I can't find any tables like this that can go to this height, which is a sit-down height, to a stand-up height. I can't find any. I haven't been able to find. But then again, I haven't really looked. So, but that's really all I can say about tables.
David, Seamus, and Josh want you to do a video on camera equipment.
Okay, so all right. Okay, what I'll do is I'll shoot it on this trip. I've got almost all my kit with me, my major stuff. I've got it all with me, and I'll go into a little bit about drone flying. The beginning of this year, I got a new drone, which is a DJI Mavic Pro 2, which is, I think, astonishing. I think it's an astonishing piece. I always marvel at the drones on how smart they are, and the technology packed into that, and the camera now. And DJI was interesting is that when I had the Mavic 1, flying it was easy, setting it up was easy, but the picture quality, yeah, it was possible. It was, but only just. The color, saturation, nuances, feel of the color, horrible. And like the DJI Osmo, the one that they no longer make with a little thing that I use inside my car as a gimbal camera inside when I'm doing talks while I'm actually driving, that's good for that. But exterior, the color quality, the color science, the look of the color, terrible. New DJI Pro, wow, I love it. It's so, what a beautiful camera. It's got this little Hasselblad camera on it. It's just, every time I fly it, I just go, somebody was really clever who designed this. Super smart people. How are we doing?
Good. Joel says he found an adjustable height table you're describing. He'll post it.
Okay, do that. As I said, I haven't really looked, but that to me would interest me to have two different sizes. I'm sure they exist. They have to. I'm not the only one with back problems when cooking for, leaning down all the time. Fishing gear I'm not taking this time. Take a few beers. I've still got to put those in the fridge. I'm about done with the packing, guys. Just about done. Anything else?
Everyday items you use on a trip?
So everyday items I use on a trip, I will always have them easily accessible. So, and I mentioned before that I've got the toiletry stuff there, the spices, pepper and salts there, insect repellents and a knife sharpener there. That's everyday use. In the cab above my head, there's a rain jacket, there's a fly net, there's pens and paper and things like that in the front of the vehicle. But everything else, as you can see, is pretty easy to access. So I would put everyday stuff. If I'm going to make a meal, I'm going to need to get inside here. So I hang up my cutlery and I get into my drawer and I've got everything I need here. That and the kitchen on the side. I don't need to get in here, except for the stove. I don't need to go into this box. It's all, recovery kit right at the front, tools right at the front, because it's quite heavy, particularly tools, right at the front, jacks right at the front, in a cab just behind the center console, center fridge, my emergency tent and everything strapped down in the front, emergency water in the front, and these drawers will be, on this particular trip, not particularly full. I'm just going just myself for 6 days. Vehicle's not going to be full by any stretch. I've just got to go and get some more food, general food, bread rolls, cold meats, cheeses and things like that. And that's about it.
Kyle says he loves his KO2s. He bought them because of your old review.
Okay.
And he's looking forward to your future looks at Cooper and Mickey Thompson.
Okay. You guys pay attention. Worries me sometimes. I have got a new set of wheels right here. You see, because I was in the mode of I should try out some different tires because I'm no longer linked to BFG. I still think they're an excellent tire, no question about it. But I thought, what should I do? Mickey Thompson sounds good, but then I read some bad stuff. But you read one bad stuff, and you think, oh, and then where's the balance? How do you find a balance? So I was contacted by the chaps down at City Discount Tires in Joondalup. I'll give them a plug. They helped me out with a few things, and they've just been so accommodating. Andrew, anything you need, just come in, and they just sort me out, no charge. They just look after me. And he said to me, would you like to try out a set of Falcon? And I had heard a little bit about Falcon, and I said, well, let me give it a thought. And then I got on the internet and I started reading Falcon reviews. Again, like all tires, very, very mixed. So I thought, okay, which one of the Falcons has got the best reviews and do I think will be the most successful and the most, appropriate for the kind of trip? And so I went and looked at reviews on these ones, which are called the Wild Peak MT. It's a mud tire, gone for a different size. This is a 265/75. So it's exactly the same diameter as the 235/85. The 265/75 is a very, very common tire size. And there's something to be said for having a tire size that is very, very common. So if I needed a spare, and I really lost tires and I needed a quick spare, I could buy a cheap 265/75. If you have a particular tire which is a bit peculiar, more difficult to get that specific size. You have to match sizes, obviously, with a four-wheel drive. It's pretty important. So as an emergency spare, if you did have something that was vastly different from the rest of the vehicle, you could drive, but if you drove fast, you could damage differential. It would overheat, etc., etc. So I thought, common size, good. Let's go a little bit wider. And not quite I like high profile tires, as you know, but I went for the 265/75 is because I wanted to feel the vehicle get a feel of it. Common tire size, and the reviews of this particular tire is by far the best of all of the Falcons, and in fact it was one of the best out of all of the mud tires. So I found a website that had kind of a summary of tires. You could go and have a look at a Yokohama or a BF Goodrich or a Mickey Thompson and then look at their different things, and then they would have reviews and then average review. And I think probably the Falcon MT was probably the best review I could see of all of them. Of all of them, even the BFGs. So I know that one has to be careful with reviews and you can't really, but maybe you can get an idea. So I thought, let me try the MTs. So I got back to them and said, okay, I'm happy to try something else. I'm happy to get a feel of it. I'm learning. I want to find out a little bit more about the tires. And I know that once I start using Falcons, I will get more feedback, because I did with BFG. People loving them, people hating them, people saying why, all the feedback of the KM3 when I was the first guy in the world to do a KM3 review. And I was very impressed with that tire. I've heard other stories saying, oh, they chip a lot. And I didn't see that. I saw a chip a bit, but I did certainly not see chip a lot, and I did a very rough trip. So again, you have one or two people say they chip a lot, and most people saying they don't chip at all, and they're fine. So where do you take it? So you have to read a lot of reviews to get the truth. I believe that. I will now get information feeding back to me of the Falcons. Are they any good? I know that the noise they make is almost exactly the same as the KM3. I was hoping that they would be quiet. I thought the holy grail of a mud tire would be a mud tire that doesn't howl. It's not noisy, but it is. It's noisier than the KO2s. Definitely noisier than the KO2s. But maybe stronger? Probably stronger.
Australia Grumpy asks when you're planning to actually sell the Trippy.
I'm putting it on for sale after this trip. Immediately after this trip, it goes for sale, and I'll probably do a little video to, explaining the vehicle. I'll probably shoot it on the trip. It's I just had a good service done. I found a guy who's did a good job. I liked the way he was thinking. I liked the way he was trying to find people that will look after your vehicle, who have the same mindset as the way they approach things. And I kind of did an interview with him, chatting to him about stuff. His head was definitely screwed on the right way. He had the right approach. It's not necessarily knowing everything, it's the right approach. I.e., if you don't know something, find out about it. Know that you don't know. And he was definitely, he came back to me after I delivered the car an hour later and said, right, we've got a choice of 3 oils. You've got a DPF filter, so that is not a good idea. This is a good one, this is a good one, good one. Any thoughts? I kind of said, it's up to you. The 5W30 is probably is standard, and etc., and we bought a really good oil. I don't believe in cheap oil. So, what was the question? Actually, I'm rambling.
When you're going to sell the Trippy?
Yeah. So So then I have to give it a really good clean detail. I want to make it absolutely beautiful, and then it'll go on the market. So it'll be. It kind of has been on the market, but I haven't really pushed it. So it will go on the market, and I think that it will go on the market for about 130,000, and I will be. Yeah, I'm not going to tell you what I'm going to be doing with the money, but reinvesting it in vehicles and the channel. I won't say more than that.
Yeah, we're just watching you.
Okay. Well, I'm going to wrap it up, guys. I'm going to go and have breakfast. It's 2 hours. It's been fantastic. I actually really enjoyed it. Really enjoyed it. I think these live, actually doing something as opposed to sitting down and I just think it's and thank you for the questions. Really, thank you for the questions. So a few more things for you guys, Patreons. How many we still got watching? Okay, we still got a good amount. For you guys, for Patreons, what I'm decided to do, I'm going to, on my big epics, my big trips, the high budget films, I'm going to not put a lot of them on YouTube. It doesn't affect you guys in the slightest. It's just that I'm going to keep more exclusive content, because I realize that it's because of the Patreon fans, the super fans, if you like to call them that, that I'm able to do this. So this was exclusive. It'll eventually go public, this one, but the actual Q&A, that's why I managed to get it to all of your questions, is because it wasn't to the public. And I want to do more lives. Lives are very good. Good for the channel. But every second live, I'll do an exclusive like this. And I will think of more ways we can do a bit of interactive stuff, so the stuff that I'm physically doing inspires you to ask questions, like the quirky question, for example. It was a good question. So, I mean, they were all good questions, actually, but I think that I'll do more than that, more of those. And I'm by the time the public see this, I'll be probably on my trip. I'll probably put it up next week to the general public. They can just view. Obviously, they can't ask questions. And that's it. Can't think of anything else intelligent to say. Yeah. Guys, thank you for your support. Thank you for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye for now.